Hey everybody. As many of you know, last October I went to Cambodia with a group of about a dozen people, all colleagues from Cisco with the exception of one very brave and good soul that didn't know any of us but just wanted to join in the adventure of helping a family of strangers in a distant land. This project was organized by Habitat for Humanity, and the objective was to build a small house for a farming family in the countryside of Cambodia's third largest and main rice-growing region of Battambang. Now, this video has a dual purpose. First of all, I want to thank the people that made donations to the cause last year and show them what happened with their money. Secondly, I've decided to go back to Cambodia on another build this coming October, so this video is part of my fundraising campaign. If you have donated before, many, many thanks, and I hope you'll participate again. If you didn't participate last year, please consider making a donation this time around. Thanks in advance. As you can see, this presentation is done on a Cisco template, which is the company I've had the very good fortune to work for over the past 5 years. Cisco has a very strong corporate social responsibility program and gives all employees the opportunity to take a week of paid absence to make a social contribution pretty much anywhere in the world, which is a very cool thing. I want to say a big thanks to my Cisco colleagues, my friends and family who made donations to fund last year's project. This was a life-changing experience for me and for the family for whom we built the house. No matter the size of your donation, large or small, you played a role in that, so many, many thanks. The way things work with Habitat is that you don't just get on a plane, fly somewhere, and build something. There is an awareness-raising component in these projects. Each member of the team gets an individual fundraising target for which you turn to colleagues, friends, and family for donations, and in the process, raise awareness. Each member of our team was given a fundraising target of 1,850 British pounds sterling. These funds cover the cost of the construction materials, the local crew of experienced builders that sort of manage us, as well as our in-country transportation, lodgings, and food. The airfare to and from Cambodia was not covered by our donations, so each member of the team is responsible for covering those costs by themselves. In all, I had 61 very kind people make donations. With that support, I was able to overachieve the individual fundraising target and help out some team members that came up a bit short. I've tried to provide everybody with a small gift of thanks, which are local souvenirs I picked up in various places during my visit. Some folks donated anonymously. If that's your preference, no worries, but if you did that inadvertently and you decide to donate again this year, please let me know who you are so that I can bring you back a souvenir. Mostly t-shirts and light scarves, maybe some new stuff this time around. If you did make a donation last year and it wasn't anonymous and you did not receive a thank you gift from me, apologies, and here I'm thinking of my far-flung friends and family, but you have my word that this oversight will be corrected next time around for sure. Okay, so on with the story. If you don't know where Cambodia is, here sits Cambodia. Thailand is to the north and west, and Vietnam pretty much on the east flank. And this up here, it's not labeled, but that's Laos. And then, of course, you've got the Gulf of Thailand here down on the southern border, nice stretch of beach. Now, I flew into Bangkok, direct from Moscow, about a 10-hour flight. I overnighted in Bangkok, and then the next day I took about a 1-hour flight to Siem Reap. And the team assembled in Siem Reap. We relaxed by the pool for a day, enjoyed a nice night out on the town, getting to know each other. And then, although it looks kind of close, it's about a 4 or 5 hour bus ride down to Battambang. The trip to Battambang takes that long because they are working on the road. There was a lot of stop and go traffic. Hopefully they make it into a nice wider highway. And we did make a couple of comfort stops along the way. Let me tell you, any country that keeps its public toilets as clean as the folks in Cambodia, you have my absolute respect. There are a few heroines in this story, and number one is my dear colleague Agnieszka Jank. The first time I met her was about 4 years ago when we invited her to come address a group of Cisco employees in St. Petersburg, Russia, in relation to her job role at the time. She had flown to St. Petersburg straight from Nepal, where she was on her first Habitat build, something we spoke about quite a bit during her time with us in St. Pete. The next year, she went to Romania for a build, which I wasn't able to join, but I promised her I'd be with her on the next one. Well, sometime after her return from Romania, Agnieszka is diagnosed with cancer. chemo, surgery, the whole 9 yards. She set up a blog that she entitled Mr. C and Me, which allowed many of us to follow her on her journey and provide what moral support we could. To say that Aga is a cancer survivor is not entirely correct. Her cancer is of the type that she'll be battling and living with for what I'm sure will be a very, very long time. The Cambodia build followed shortly after she came back to work and represented her triumphant return to doing one of the things she loves most, which is helping people in need. The other heroines in this story are Mat Yeyet, the matriarch of the farming family, and her granddaughter Lena. I guess that pretty much anybody can submit an application to Habitat for Humanity for assistance, and in this case, that person was Lena. As you'll see in some later pictures, the small traditional bamboo house in which Mat Yeyet was living was on its last legs with a leaky roof, which is absolutely no fun during the rainy season for the folks living under it. The issue of the crumbling house was causing a lot of stress for the family, and while I would not classify the family as poor, the money to build a new house was definitely out of reach for them. So here we have Mat Yeyet's family. Her daughter and son-in-law standing on the left-hand side of the picture, Lena seated next to her on the right-hand side of the picture, then with 3 more grandchildren next to Lena. I think there's a cousin in the mix, but 2 of the kids for sure Lena's siblings. Now this is the build team. Apologies, it may not be everybody, and sorry for the photo quality. And there's a couple of the local builders on the left-hand side who were great guys. They couldn't speak any English, but very friendly, experienced, and without them, these projects wouldn't be possible. And then a couple of other photos I wanted to share with you. One of a family on a moped, the standard mode of transportation for most folks, at least for many folks in that part of the world. And the seats are extra long to accommodate mom and dad and at least a couple of kids. And finally, a cow. Battambang is farm country, and aside from the rice, there were lots of cows around as well. This photo was taken from some distance, as every time I tried to get near this calf, it would roust itself and bolt. Oh well, maybe next time around. Now, I mentioned Mat Yeyet's house was on its last legs. As you can see here, the roof's in pretty bad shape and leaking quite a bit. What you can't see hidden behind the curtains is the bamboo floor, which actually gave way on the last day of the build. So we got things done just in time for Mat Yeyet to move into her new digs. And you can see me in the foreground of this photo digging a hole for the new outhouse, covered head to toe with probably a liter of sunblock and high-octane bug spray. Battambang is right on the edge of malaria territory, and we were there at the end of the rainy season, so we were advised to cover up and wear protection against malaria-carrying flies, which we did. We got underway in the afternoon of day 1 by putting notches in the very heavy and dense local wood that would be used as the frame for the house. Steel-toed shoes and hard hats were required for all volunteers, but after a while we became a bit less vigilant with the hard hats, because the heat was absolutely intense and the humidity was brutally high. It wasn't long before the sweat would just be dripping off of you when you were in the sun. Most of us would work in 20-minute bursts, followed by a 10-minute water break in the shade of the tent that had been set up for us. This was physically demanding work, mixing cement with shovels, no cement mixers, no nail guns, hammers, all very old school. It was quite a physical challenge for the sedentary city dwellers on the team. Here you can see the house taking shape. It's not too big, just a one-room affair, but quite a solid structure compared to the more traditional bamboo dwellings that are common in the countryside. In the picture on the right-hand side, you can see one of the local crew in his moped helmet. I should have thought to ask, but I'm guessing he was either protecting his eyes from stray nails off the hammers of the inexperienced carpenters that were there with him, or maybe he was concerned about one of us inadvertently bumping into him, knocking him off the roof, and him banging his head on the landing. One of the most vivid memories of the build were the kids. They were on school break, and having us there building a house was a real treat for them. They worked alongside us whenever they were allowed. When we formed the line from the cement mixing station to the house to pour the concrete floor, they formed a parallel line to pass the empty buckets back for refills. This picture in the top middle portion of the slide is of them in Mat Yeyet's house making some type of dish for a local restaurant. Every day somebody from the restaurant would drop off the ingredients and a bunch of banana leaves for the wrappers. Lena, her mom, and the younger kids would spend about 4 hours on this job, and you could hear them telling stories and laughing the whole time, horsing around, throwing stuff at each other, generally acting like kids, but their hands were busy the whole time. And one thing that was quite remarkable for me is that although the older kids had smartphones, they didn't sit around playing video games or watching cat videos. They were busy helping out with the build, doing the restaurant work or other chores around the yard. It's been a long time since I've seen kids so happy and physically active. On about the second day, it began to occur to me that all of this family lived by very modest financial means. They seemed happy, healthy, and very close to one another. It was a real pleasure for me to spend time with them. Another source of pleasure was the cold beer after each day's hard work back at the hotel. Tired, muddy, drenched in sweat, but very happy and enjoying a beer. Now, we only had 4 full days to complete this job. As a matter of fact, we finished it a little bit ahead of schedule. So we walked down the road a piece to a neighbor's build site to put down the bamboo floor on the second floor of their building. Man, this was really hard work. Bamboo is a very tough material, and its rounded contour makes sinking nails into it, particularly the small nails we had for the job, very difficult, and kneeling on bamboo is hell on your knees. Job took about 3 hours, and as you can see, it was exhausting. Happy to have finished it, and lots of smiles and good vibrations all around. Here we are at the ribbon cutting ceremony, a really nice celebration, a fun job, well done, and everybody that was involved much richer for the experience. That day and the next, some of the team members left for various destinations, but most of us stuck around for a few days of sightseeing. We went to a number of places, but in the interest of time, I'm going to tell you about only the 2 of the more memorable ones. The first place we went to see was Angkor Wat. After the hustle and bustle in the cities of Siem Reap and Battambang, it was a real treat to be in the very clean and well-maintained national park, which is about 200 hectares or 500 acres in size. Angkor Wat was built between roughly 1113 and 1150 AD and is one of the largest religious monuments ever constructed. Angkor Wat translates into English as Temple City. At its peak in the 12th century, when London had a population of 18,000, Angkor Wat was home to hundreds of thousands. Some estimate up to 750,000 people live there. Originally built as a Hindu temple dedicated to the god Vishnu, it was converted into a Buddhist temple in the 14th century when statues of Buddha were added to its already rich artwork. Sometime later, it was turned into a military fortification. Today, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site that scientists are struggling to preserve. I did see plaques from organizations from Germany and Japan that are on the ground helping out, lending a hand. I've also done a bit of checking, but have not found a definitive explanation as to why Angkor Wat was eventually abandoned. If you're curious and find an answer, please let me know. Now, I think that most of us know about the killing fields and the dark history visited on Cambodia by the Khmer Rouge regime in the years of 1975 to its downfall in 1979. We visited a Buddhist temple that, as written on the plaque on the left-hand side of the slide, was taken over by the Khmer Rouge and turned into a prison in which 10,008 people were put to death. Hard to imagine how to recover from that and the types of atrocities described in the plaque in the top right-hand corner of this slide. Do pause the video and read it. It's absolutely horrific. It's a testament to the spirit of the human race that this temple has been reverted back to its original purpose of worship and peace. I began this story by talking about the remarkable women who made it happen. The first was Agnieszka, hoping for this trip to be a comeback from her tenacious battle with cancer and a triumphant return to doing the things she loves, one of which is helping people in need. Based on this picture of Aga sitting across from me in a tuk-tuk on our last night in Cambodia, her face seems to confirm mission accomplished. To the right of Aga in this picture is Jutta, our dear colleague and good friend who grew up on a farm in Germany. I'll tell you, if I was going to be building a house and was looking for volunteers, Jutta would be on the top of the list. She's an incredibly hard worker and a smart worker who wields a mean trowel. Everything I know about bricklaying, I learned from Jutta. The other remarkable woman is Lena, seen here in a picture she posted on Facebook recently. Sometime before we showed up, Lena was forced to give up her job as a seamstress, which is her real passion, in order to help out the family on the farm. Well, we all chipped in and bought her a good quality sewing machine so that she can at least pursue her passion on a part-time basis. This picture is taken from inside the new house, which aside from being Yayette's sleeping quarters, I guess doubles as Lena's design studio. Possibly part of a side agreement she made with her grandma when the idea was first hatched. You've got to admit that she looks marvelous. When I think of my time in Cambodia, I think mainly of the kids, their friendly laughter, and how easily they would smile. To be honest, the easy smiles and kindness weren't only from the kids, but pretty much from everybody I came in contact with while there. It was quite a unique experience, and I signed up to go back again to Battambang this October, and I can't wait. So to all of you who helped the cause by making donations last time around, many, many thanks. I do hope you'll be able to help fund the trip coming up in October. My daughter Pauline has also signed up for the trip, so I will in effect be raising money for 2 people. I really hope I can count on all of you to help out with such a worthy cause. The result of your kindness is a new house for a family that would not be able to afford it without help from us. At the same point in time, as I hope this presentation's demonstrated, the result is so much more than that. And as I promised in my previous fundraising round, if you will contribute to this cause, I'll gladly contribute to yours when that time comes. A commitment I've already honored with some of you, which was absolutely my pleasure. Now, if you ended up here from my Habitat donations page, please navigate back and make a donation. The donations app is fast and easy. Another great thing about Cisco is that if you're a Cisco employee, any donations to a Habitat project will be matched by the company. If you came here somehow through YouTube, you'll find a link to my Habitat donations page in the video description section, which you open by clicking on the small downwards pointing arrow on the right hand of the screen just below the video. Hey everybody, many thanks for investing the time to watch and listen. All the best and bye for now.